Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV, where we are in the Rising Stones and want to begin our main quest, continue our main quest. Which should be, if I'm not mistaken, the start of 2.2? 5.2? Serenia. My, what a pleasant surprise. If you've come to inquire after the Archons, fear not. Master Matoya's treatment has proven effective in stabilizing their corporeal ether. We mustn't grow complacent, however. Potent though these magics may be, they are not without limits. We can only hope they afford us enough time for the Crystal Exarch to complete his work. If only we could go with you to the First and help. Pardon me the interruption, I come bearing urgent news. Ah, Maxima. Ah, Serenia. Been far too long, my friend. Forgive me, I don't believe we have been formally introduced. Maxima, former Gallian ambassador. I remain here in Eorzea under the auspices of Commander Alden, offering what counsel I can in the hopes of resolving the present conflict with the Empire. Ah yes, I have heard the stories of a defector from Garlemald, but never mind that. You said you have urgent news? Indeed. As you may have heard, the Imperial capital is in turmoil, and a sizable portion of the Gallian forces have been recalled from the Gimlet Dark. With their numbers so greatly diminished, the main host of the Alliance has withdrawn, leaving the Alamigan resistance to keep watch over the border. And it is there we have welcomed a most unexpected visitor who claims that this de-escalation may belie growing dangers and unforeseen threats. Commander Alden has arranged for an impromptu meeting to discuss these revelations. He has also requested the representative of the Scions attend as well, though it was clear to whom he wished I extend this invitation. It would seem time is of the essence. Well, you'll not be attending this meeting alone, for I'm not as well versed in the affairs of the city-states as our comrades. I see no reason to burden a single Scion with all this. Yes, of course. Then we must make for the Alamigan quarter with all haste. Well, what are you waiting for? Get going, you two. Much has changed since the first time we set foot in this city. Now we strive to preserve their freedom rather than reclaim it. But we have no time to reminisce. We mustn't keep the commander waiting. Commander Alden awaits us in the Royal Palace. If you will follow me. Hello, Gaius.
They're here, Commander.
And I, for one, am grateful that they are. Told you've been busy since our paths last crossed at the Gimlet Dark. Not that I understand half of it. When the Scions spoke of other worlds, I'd struggled to describe what I pictured. Mayhap things would seem clearer were I to hear the tale from your own lips. But I'm afraid the situation will not afford us that luxury. I trust you two require no introduction.
We meet again, hero of Eorzea. Must we repeat this ridiculous display? I pose no threat to you, though what I come to warn you of very well might.
Had he meant to do us harm, I hazard he would have kept to the shadows. and brought more than 2 companions. We need not pretend to be the best of friends, but I hope we can put aside our differences for the present.
Yes, me, listen to the man.
As you are doubtless aware, Sir Estinian and I cooperated to rid the world of Black Rose in your absence.
Yes?
Our journey together took us as far as the Imperial Palace, where we witnessed Emperor Varus meet his death at Xenos' hand. Being the sole witnesses to this crime, and in no position to defend our innocence, we were then forced to flee, each pursuing his own avenue of escape. When we were later reunited, Estinian claimed to have encountered an unfamiliar kind of machina during his flight, but to me his description seemed anything but, and upon further investigation I found that I was right. The Empire is developing a new Ultima weapon.
What, that Allagan monstrosity, created to vanquish primals? With which you yourself once thought to conquer Eorzea?
That's the one.
The same. In my foolishness, I sought to harness its power, and became the Ascian's pawn in so doing. But you know as well as I how that tale ended. The weapon itself, excavated from beneath this very city, was destroyed ere we could fully unravel its secrets, and that should have been the end of it. But unlikely as it sounds, the Empire's efforts to recreate it have somehow borne fruit, primarily through secret research conducted by the 7th Imperial Legion, it would seem.
Wait, the 7th was all but annihilated at Cartano, along with its legatus.
Indeed. Few survived. The 7th, as it is now, has little in common with the Legion led by Vandanis, and its leadership has changed hands several times since. Precisely how this project has continued despite such turmoil, and under whose auspices, remains a mystery. What we do know, however, is that a number of prototypes have been produced, and that one of them is on its way to Eorzea. We attempted to stop it, but it was all we could do to slow its progress, so we resolved instead to bring you warning.
And right glad are we that you did. Though it soundly dashed our hopes that tensions might ease at last.
As it is, we've begun to strengthen our presence in the Gimlet Dark, and are assembling a force to meet the coming threat. A force with you in its vanguard, I hope. Before you say anything, I know full well you have pressing concerns of your own. Your comrades remain in peril, and I would not ask you to forsake them. But the fact remains that you, and you alone, have faced the Ultima Weapon, and emerged victorious. We need you.
It was an 8-man run, right?
And so, when the time comes, if your comrades can spare you, I bid you lend us your strength. I've assigned an officer to await your word.
The Ascian's downfall was to be the work of my remaining days, but it was my hand that kindled these flames, and I cannot allow them to spread any further. I will do what I must to see this mistake consigned to history once and for all, even if it means begging your aid. The Fates will enjoy the irony, even as I endure the ignominy.
I too shall make for the border and offer my skills, meager though they seem in such company. Mayhap we shall meet there anon.
All right.
Though we can ill afford to ignore the coming of a new Ultima weapon, our friend's plight grows ever more precarious, and none save you can join them in the first. I only hope you are not forced to make a choice.
Don't worry, it's a game. As ever, the way forward is paved with difficult decisions. And we can ill afford to ignore the threat of a new Ultima weapon, but with each passing day the plight of the science grows ever more perilous. If you cannot stay at the briefing on the Ultima weapon, I will not stop you. I only ask that you confer with me before returning to the first. No, I believe we do the Ultima weapon. Ruby Doomsday. Serenia. Glad you could make it. As you have heard, Commander Alden has given orders to embark from Alliance headquarters to hold back the advance of the Empire's latest menace. Not that the soldiers stationed there are too chuffed about being on the front line against these new weapons. If they're designed to play primals, they'd make short work of us mere mortals as well. Mind you, it's Gaius Baelsahr and his followers who've led the charge so far. By all accounts, they've been giving as good as they get. Unfortunately, their sorties have met with little success. I dare say they'd benefit greatly from your presence on the battlefield. If you're ready, my colleagues over at Porta Pretoria will show you the way. Where's that? Oh, over there. Of course. On our way to headquarters, I take it? And here we are at headquarters. And no one else is there. Save Gaius and his people. Gaius says you have our only hope of defeating that abomination. We've seen only a glimpse of its true power, and even that was more than enough for us. To be honest, we weren't sure if you'd ever show up. I'm glad you decided to throw in your lot with us. So your mind is set? Then I shall apprise you of the situation. We have discovered that the previously abandoned Ultima Weapon project is being helmed by the reformed 7th Legion. They've already succeeded in producing several prototypes, one of which is set to be deployed on the Eorzean front. Its name, the Ruby Weapon. Severa and I were able to get within striking distance during one of its test runs, and made an attempt to destroy it. An attempt that ended in failure, alas. Based on our knowledge of the original Ultimate Weapon, the explosive we employed should have been sufficient to blast through its armor plating, but they barely left a mark. We suspect the gifts of its predecessors may have proven the source of its resilience. As you well know, the Ultima Weapon was designed to absorb aether from icons, and the Ruby Weapon no doubt shared that ability. If any were summoned during the uprising in Garlemald's occupied territories, and thereafter consumed, our enemy would become all the more formidable. But its near impenetrable armor was only the beginning of our troubles. It fought back with whip-like claws that can be extended and contracted at will. In the face of such opposition, we were forced to withdraw. Gaius was injured, shielding me from the Ruby Weapon's assault. Even now he struggles to stand. Damn it all, if I hadn't been so careless, this wouldn't have happened. You need not concern yourself. Let us not forget that I am the one who initiated the Ultima Weapon project. If I must give my life to bury this shameful legacy, then so be it. If you were to face it as you are now, you'd be cut down before you even hobbled within firing distance. In any case, we can't afford to lose the information in your head on both the foe we face and the Empire itself. We all know that asking for Serenia's assistance presents our best chance of stopping that war machina. It is true that if anyone were capable of putting down such a monstrosity, it would be her. Though I have no right to ask this of you. Will you lend us your strength? I don't want to back down from a fight. You have my thanks. And mine. For I must impress upon you the urgency of our situation. We have received word that the Empire is preparing to advance on the Gimlet Dark. That is where we will intercept them. If our fears are proven correct, the ruby weapon will be amongst their host. Should it break through our front lines, there's no telling the devastation it will wreak. Make no mistake, the very survival of Eorzea hangs in the balance. Once you have steeled yourself for the battle ahead, your escort will lead the way. What price must the world pay for my hubris? A short while earlier in the Gallian-occupied city of Verlet's Magitech installation. Commencing Ruby activation sequence, all units stand by. Initiating synthetic oversight system. Fusion successful, no signs of incompatibility. Awaiting your signal. Ruby weapon, codenamed Darnus, ready for launch. This is a battlefield. And there's Ruby weapon. Mark III Anti-Icon War Machina, the Ruby weapon. Enemy detected, commencing attack. War Wielders ignore the hammer. Preparing combat data, subject Darnus. And using the blue screen because this is a Final Fantasy VII reference. Optimized Ultima. What am I supposed to do? Ach, stand on that stuff. Alright. Ow. Well, luckily. You won't even see them coming. I see something coming. High-powered homing laser. High velocity attack. Yeah. Twice. Such speed, but I'm still in control. In? Spread out. Undermine is the opposite of what? Synthetic oversight safety locks removed. Repairing Ultima maximum power. This can't be. The ruby weapon is unstoppable. I'm sorry, everyone. This is the end for me. Activating Oversoul. Pylon override at 100%. Recommencing forced shutdown and system restart. Synthesized oversight switching to Oversoul mode. Loading local data. Darnus combat data ready. Initiating organic core override. What is this? No! Get out of my mind! Stop! No, I'm not. Nail, I'm. I am Nail Vandanus. Come to purify this forsaken land. The legacy of ancient Alhak is mine to command. Is this supposed to be the nail from the Bahamut raid? How can this be? O mighty Dalamut, am I not thy loyal servant? Red moon of destruction, I shall prove to thee my worth. Vengeance shall be mine. I see nothing under that meteor. Purge these unthinking beasts. Come, Comet. Destroy the comet. No, Galamut did fall. I know it to be true. Oh, brother, Nail, your name shall live on for eternity. Gaius? Even from afar, your figure was unmistakable. As ever, an impressive display. Though, as I'm sure you will concur, the Ultima weapon pales in comparison to this new monstrosity. If their research is allowed to continue, the next model will be nigh on unstoppable. With that in mind, the Alliance has enlisted the help of... wait, I hear something. Here to sift through what remains of a ruby weapon, are you? Ali, what do you think you're doing? Ali? Father? It's been too long, Alphonse. And you too, Rex. Given that the Empire is proceeding with a weapon project and making inroads into Eorzea, I suppose it was only a matter of time until our paths crossed. It's wonderful to see you again, Father, although I can't say I think much of the company you're keeping. I know it's lots have happened, but I'm just glad you're alright, and now you can come back to Garlemald with us. My days serving the Empire are over. Because you suspect of assassinating Emperor Varus? But we know you'd never do a thing like that. There must be a way to prove your innocence. And everything can go back to the way it was. And so he found you two shivering on the roadside when he was going through Whirlit. Lucky for you, huh? If he hadn't, we'd probably be dead by now. As for us three, our parents all died in the epidemic. We'd still be begging on street corners if it weren't for him. Just wish there was a way we could repay Lord Gaius for all the kindness he'd shown us. He fights for the Empire, so we should too. That'll make him proud of us. You're saying we should join the army? I don't think that's such a good idea. Everyone in Rowlet was scared of the Garleans. Why would we want to be like them? Lord Gaius is different. I know he is. You're right. He always says the strong should lead the weak. Maybe that's why he took us in. Alright, if becoming a soldier is what it takes, I'll do it. Who's with me? Count me in. And maybe one day people look up to us like we do Lord Gaius. And then it's settled. From now on, we're all brothers and sisters fighting for the same cause. Brothers and sisters? Then that would make Lord Gaius our father? Well, if he doesn't mind us calling him that, I suppose so. That makes you our big brother, since you're the oldest. You'd better be nice to us or I'm telling father. Father, since you went away, a lot has changed in the Empire. For us too. If we'd known that you were still out there, still alive, none of us would have happened. What do you mean? The truth is... If you must go, I will not stop you, but answer me this. Who was piloting the ruby weapon? We all know that Nail Bandanos has not returned from the dead. Who do you think? It was Melisandre. No. No, I refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe you would let that happen. She was a sister to you. To all of you. We only finished what you started. And while we will never forget all you've done for us, the next time we meet, it shall be as enemies. Goodbye, Father. As for you, hero of Eorzea, you'll pay for what you did to Melisandre. I swear it. Well, well, Gaius. We meet again. Come to see how your precious weapon project has been proceeding in your absence, have you? You're come to collect data on the ruby weapon, correct? The pilot, Melisandre, should still be in the cockpit. I will ask Volderlin to escort you to the wreckage. Any idea who this Melisandre is? An imperial crony of his, perhaps? One of the orphans. Gaius always did have an eye for talent and a mind to nurture it. In fact, Livius Junius was another protege of his. He even took me under his wing when my father became obsessed with a meteor project. It's strange that I felt closer to Gaius with my own flesh and blood. Then again, my father and countless others lost their lives in the Bourgeois incident. Although he was acting under Emperor Solus's orders, he masterminded the whole thing. I begged him to reconsider, to put an end to this madness. But my words fell on deaf ears. That's when I turned to Gaius for support. But he was as much a pawn of the Emperor as my father and refused to intervene. And when my turn came to serve, I defected and fled to Eorzea. I blamed Gaius as much as any of them. Perhaps even more for the barbaric acts carried out in the name of conquest. But when we met at the Praetorium, all the hatred that had been festering inside me seemed to fade away. And I remembered the man I once respected. To think the dreaded Black Wolf was a mere plaything of Yassian's, who left him broken and disgraced, having sent thousands of his men to early graves. It's more than most could bear. And now the lives of the children he raised hang in the balance. Any personal grievances I have with Gaius can wait. I'd best gather what information I can on the ruby weapon, but I'll be back as soon as possible. If the cockpit remained intact, we may be able to glean information from the pilot. If Sid is as I remember him, it would not take long for him to finish investigating the remains of the ruby weapon. He never was one to waste time. My engineers are still in the field, but there's something I thought you should know right away. It's about the pilot. I'm not sure how to tell you this, but if Melisandre is dead, I only hope she was not made to suffer. Death would have been a kindness. In all my years, I've never seen such a perversion of science and nature. Her body was fused with the ruby weapon's core. Those last moments must have been spent in pure agony, as her very life's essence was drained from her. So she was sacrificed to power that infernal machine. We must act quickly if we are to prevent the Empire from committing further atrocities. So is there any other information you can share with us regarding the ruby weapon prior to its deactivation? Nail Vandanus? Did the legatus mean that much to Melisandre? From what I gather, it sounds as if data based on Nail's combat capabilities was used to override the pilot's consciousness after she was fused with the core. If this technology is perfected and the Empire begins implanting memories of renowned warriors such as the White Raven into its soldiers, the Alliance won't stand a chance. Is such a thing even possible? A similar method of transference was used on the prototype Estinian fort, was it not? Your friend did mention he overheard the Signet ferry loading various sets of data into the test model during battle. It would appear that the system has been improved since then. Well, it may bear some similarities. We won't know for certain until we've analyzed the wreckage of a ruby weapon. It cannot be denied that combining combat data from an experienced soldier with the powers of an icon has yielded remarkable results. But in doing so, the Empire has sunk to the very depths of depravity. This is beyond forgiveness. For once I agree with you, yet one question remains unanswered. How were they able to obtain data on someone who was supposedly killed prior to the calamity? That's what I'm trying to determine. There's one possibility I'd like to explore, but I need to carry out a more thorough investigation first. Severa will provide support while you are in the field. Not only is she extremely well versed in varieties of Garlean technologies, there's a few soldiers I would rather have watching my back. In the meantime, Valdolin and I will follow the Ruby Weapons tracks back to its point of origin. We will learn what we can of the weapon project and manner in which Alphonse and the others are involved. Should we uncover anything of value, we will relay it to the troops stationed here. For now, I suggest you use this lull in Gallian activity to recuperate. Would I be correct in guessing that this belated reunion with those darling orphans of yours has stirred up memories of their time in Garlemald? Remember our agreement, Gaius. If you so much as think of returning to your Imperial masters, I will kill you. So you put down the ruby weapon. Gods, I wish I could have seen it. Not from too close, mind. I suppose I should report news of your victory to the higher-ups. I realize it must have been through quite the ordeal, but could you give me a quick summary of the battle? You make it sound so easy. From the way you tell it, anyone would think you slay hulking brutes like that for a living. I'll put all of it into a report and leave a copy over there, should you fancy a bit of light reading. Anyway, I expect you've got more pressing matters to take care of, like going for a celebrity pint. If the Gallians pluck up the courage to come knocking again, we'll let you know. Until then, rest up. Meanwhile, in the Verlet Magitech installation. We should have told him the truth. He'd be able to help us. I know he would. That's exactly the problem, Ali. If he knew the true nature of a weapon project, he'd find some way to interfere. We've come too far to back down now. I won't let Melisandre's death be in vain. Even that means going against Father's wishes. Cheer up, Alphonse. We can all go back to being one big happy family after we've dealt with those pesky Yorzians. It'll be just like old times. If only it were that simple. There's no guarantee any of us will make it back alive. Excuse me? You think you're forgetting whose turn it's next? You of little faith? With me at the helm of a sapphire weapon, it'll be over before you know it. Whatever happens, Rex, promise you come back to us. I couldn't bear to lose you too. Good. Probably an overlong episode, but I end it here. Until next time, when we play more Final Fantasy XIV. I'm Mace, and don't get lost.